Please excuse the date mistake here, but welcome to the community dev call. I'll be fixing that after for today, which is July 8th. Really excited to share a little bit of news. I also, part of the news that I want to share is we're going to actually be shifting to monthly community dev calls so that we can do in the alternating time. We've been taking a lead role in maintainership of the Cosmos SDK. There'll be more news and details about that. I think we've been hinting at it for a little while, but we're now the lead maintainers of the Cosmos SDK. So we're going to alternate. So every other community dev call is going to be focused on the Cosmos community, bringing in zone stakeholders and people doing dev work using the Cosmos SDK. So stay tuned. We'll have some sort of updates on timing and calendar invites, etc., coming up. So the next call will be a Cosmos focused call for folks who are interested, and that will be on July 22nd, probably at the original time, although we'll see what happens. So a couple of just broad blockchain updates before I go into the details on the blockchain roadmap. Corey's unable to sit in at this time, so I'll be going through all of that. So we're pushing back our mainnet launch to Q4. This is because we're building our core functionality on 0.40 of the Cosmos SDK, which has a bunch of breaking changes, and that the release of 0.40 has yet to happen. And so most of our functionality is dependent on that all happening, and that's set to be released in the next couple of weeks. And then we'll be sort of like picking up and moving everything forward, getting into test nets. We're also going to be running test nets for the broader community, which is something that we've done actually throughout our history, is just sort of doing sort of more open source community focused stuff, and then little pieces of our own modules. We'll be doing that again. The next testnet will be our last testnet before mainnet launch, but mainnet launch is looking like it's going to be at the beginning of Q4. Now, there's some really exciting stuff happening. Regen Network will be launched fully IBC compatible. So that's really what we're aiming for, is the first inter-blockchain natural capital assets. So we should be able to get into our testnet cycle in August. And so stay tuned for that. We'll be giving everybody updates. Happy to answer questions about all of this as we go. I know it's a little frustrating to have timeframes shift, but it seems like it's sort of par for the course with the complexity we're dealing with. So some details about our blockchain roadmap. We're really happy to be welcoming Amaury and Marie as full-time senior blockchain engineers who are working on the Cosmos SDK and on Regen Ledger moving forward. Very exciting. Some updates, some detailed updates about Stargate and Launchpad. Stargate, which is sort of the branding of the 0.40 release, is the biggest change to the Cosmos SDK that has happened since its inception, and it is underway and it's going well. There's a lot of moving pieces, so there's a lot of testing and other things which have made things a little slow, but there's a big protocol buffer migration. This is going to make the performance of the Cosmos SDK much higher in terms of transaction speed and some other things. It's also going to make developer experience much easier for people who want to be able to use JavaScript libraries and other things. Also, it has IBC support, refactored command line interface. We're also doing some support for a previous version in case people want to have a stable SDK release that's pre-IBC. And so that's underway. So there'll be more detailed work on the Cosmos SDK and some open, active conversations with a broader community in 2 weeks, focused specifically on the Cosmos SDK. And this call, in a month, will be a little less focused on the Cosmos SDK. We've been doing a lot of Cosmos SDK conversations on these community dev calls. So we're going to sort of start to splice those out a little bit. So just a heads up for everybody that that's coming up. Our report on the registry application layer, the sprints have been on pause for the last week because there's a major website overhaul taking on, which we're basically preparing to be able to have the Regen Network website, essentially have a direct interface with the blockchain, getting all the infrastructure ready for that, and doing an overhaul of the website also so people can buy and sell ecosystem service credits, and have sort of a portal into the system. And so there's a bunch of work that's happening just on the web interface right now. And then the registry app itself work will pick up after that's done. A couple of cool updates on the open team side. We're working actively on the Cool Farm Perennials module. This is going to give us the ability to do agroforestry greenhouse gas estimation. We're doing, our role in that is just a bridge between some pilot work we did in Ecuador and some initial data collection, and sort of reverse engineering the data that was collected so that it's compatible with this empirical model for greenhouse gas estimation. And so there's a whole sort of working process on that with a couple of partners. We're pretty excited about that because it's a building block to be able to have cacao and other tropical agroforestry greenhouse gas estimations and then credit issuance, which we really think is important because 80% of the world's population are smallholder farmers, and I should say 80% of the world's food is produced by smallholder farmers, and it's so important to value those people for their good stewardship. So we're excited that that's progressing. We're working to make field data collection cryptographically signable from within the RSI app, which is a commonly used in a whole sort of ecosystem of players, which include General Mills as far as big people, and Bionutrient Food Association as far as more grassroots people, to do on-the-ground data collection. And what that makes possible is the ability to sort of hash that information up to the blockchain and have it become part of a pipeline for credit issuance or other claims and agreements about ecological state. So there's progress taking place there, which is exciting. And then there's some shared ontology work, which is essentially making sure that everybody's sort of data standards, and if you say tree here, it means tree there, etc., which is sort of important, because what we're trying to do is make it possible for many different applications to be providing data and interfacing with the blockchain. So it's just really important to have these sort of data ontologies and registries of ontologies available for people in libraries. So that's what's happening in the open team world. And just a couple of news items that we're really excited about. We've just started connecting with Open Forests, which is a UNFAO open source platform for data collection and analytics, which includes this tool called SEPL, which is sort of analogous to an analysis-ready data pipeline we put together, and sort of analogous to our friends and partners over at Dagon, who do agroecological sort of modeling and analytics. Tomas, this is stuff that might be interesting to you. Essentially, these are tools to be able to build sort of geospatial analysis systems. And we've just started connecting them with them. We're hopeful that we're going to be able to build some interoperability there, and hopefully be able to sort of support them with being able to make claims and, create avenues for credit issuance and tracking and analytics. So it's very exciting. We'll see, but another big open source community that we're starting to intersect with, and hopefully we'll have the ability to start to build some interoperability with them. We're currently in progress co-creating an open climate collaborathon prompt based on Regen Network's functionality, with the Open Climate Initiative, which is pretty exciting. We've been collaborating with them for a couple of years, and we're doing that with Open Team as well. And so there's a sort of open source ecosystem. It's pretty exciting. Maybe we'll try to drag the UN FAO folks into this as well. Just opportunities to do these sort of like collaborative sprints where we have a shared prompt and we're trying to bring all the information together and do it all in a way that all of the contributors sort of build something that's useful, and we can sort of provide proof of concepts for folks. So that's underway, and I'm pretty excited about that. And then there's been an enormous amount of progress in the Cosmos community, and IBC is on the way. And so, you know, for those who've been paying attention to, Game of Zones concluded, I guess, you know, 6 weeks ago or so. But there's just a lot of progress. There's going to be a forthcoming vote on the Cosmos Hub around upgrade to the Stargate, which is something we've been heavily participating in building and making IBC possible. So all that, there's just like a lot of activity there, which we've been participating with. And as I noted earlier in the call, we sort of made the call to put Regen Network's mainnet launch sort of on the back burner and focus on the functionality for the whole Cosmos community that we'll then use. And so we've just been cranking away on that. And so far we're happy with that, although we are very excited to get back to the Regen Ledger blockchain and just sort of start cranking away there. So that's the conclusion of the updates. I'm excited to see if there's any questions or comments. Tomas, Eddie, Will, Christian, if anybody has questions or comments, please chime in. I see Will joined as well. Welcome, Will.
Thanks. Yeah, exciting to hear about all the progress and yeah, the next testnet and mainnet and everything going on.
Cool. Yeah, and you know, Will, I don't know that we planned this yet, but it does seem like we need to sort of circle around on the Collabothon prompt. Corey and I were thinking, just to talk about that briefly while you're here, Corey and I were thinking that probably we should sit down and just sort of like make a candidate proposal, because it started to feel like those calls were taking up a lot of bandwidth and we were sort of going in circles. So we're going to do our best. Sure. We're going to do our best to come up with a proposal so that next time there's a call, we can talk about that really, like something really concrete.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. I think we're just now getting to the point where we can do that. So it's been good to do all that supporting work so that we can kind of have the context for it. And yeah, I'm excited for the Collabothon and having something we can kind of sink our teeth into a little bit more. But yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Good. Well, thanks everybody for joining. If there aren't further questions or comments or discussion, I'm happy to sort of conclude with our presentation being pretty brief and let folks get back to their busy scheduled days. And look forward to seeing you the next time we have a community dev call that's focused on Regen Network, Regen Ledger. Will be in a month. And so I'll be working on doing a little bit better job doing publicity around that, making sure we can kind of engage things. There'll be a lot of updates in that time period. And then for those of you who may be interested, Eddie, this might be interesting to you, but the next community dev call, just to reiterate, is going to be Cosmos SDK centered. So we'll be doing, plenty of outreach about that change to everybody. So thanks everybody for joining the call, and hasta la regeneración siempre. We'll see you guys all later.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gregory.
Nice brief.